Myself, Professor Praful Randhir, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department, Tulsiramji Gaikwad Patil College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. I am here delivering a lecture on thermit welding. So nowadays, welding is very much used in any area like industries, aeroplane industries, and manufacturing. All types of industries welding is used. So consideration of welding definition is that, so welding we can also defined as it's a joining process of two similar or dissimilar metal with the help of heat and pressure. Sometimes we cannot use pressure, as well as we can use filler metal or without using filler metal. This is the simple and basic definition of welding. So, considering this definition, we have used a concept of heat and without using pressure in this non-pressure type thermit welding process. So, in this non-pressure type thermit welding process, we have used a welding a large, thick metal rods or heavy, thick objects. That's why we have used a thermit welding process. So, this thermit welding process we have used to joining two broken railway tracks. We have also used a thermit welding process. So, thermit welding process components we have shown in this diagram. Here is a crucible and two sharp or two heavy objects where we need to weld in this section, as well as we need a sand mold for welding purpose. So, as well as we can also say that sand mold used in thermit welding. So, thermit welding also, in my opinion, I can also say that it's a thermit welding cum casting also. Okay, so casting is considered in this welding process. So casting, it means that casting is used to join two metal parts. That's why I want to say that this welding is the welding cum casting process. Considering the components of thermit welding process is that here is a sand mold. In sand molding, we can also produce casting. That's why we have used a sand mold. So all these contents we have mentioned. So this is the sand are used. So contents are used in this sand is the silica sand plus bentonite powder, water, clay, wooden fine particles, coal dust, or all these components are in some percentage we have used, and all these mixture combined with each other and mixing properly so that the required sand is prepared. Then, as well as in sand molding, in casting techniques, where required flex. Flex, it means that upper flat portion and other downward portion. The upperward portion flex, also called as co, and downward portion we also say that drag. In this diagram, also we can also say that there is a ramp. This is the upperward portion. This is the cope and drag. In the upperward portion, cope, where located runner, riser, getting system. That's why we can also say that there is a cope, and downward location where getting systems is not available. That's the reason we also say that this is the drag portion. Okay. And this is the crucible. And here we have used iron oxide plus aluminum powder and fine particles of metal of object. So all contents we have placed in this crucible, and also we have also provided some flux in crucible. All contents we ignited by oxygen acetylene welding. Then such situation nearly about 3000 degrees Celsius amount of temperature in the crucible is generated by igniting through oxygen acetylene welding. 3000 degree is a lot of amount of temperature, and this lot of amount of temperature is generated. It means that exothermic reaction. Exothermic, it means that heat is emitted from this reaction. So required amount of heat is generated, and from this reaction 3.1 megajoule per kg amount of heat energy is generated. So this is the tremendous amount of heat energy is generated in this crucible. So such type of heat we required for welding of two metals. In this concepts, before applying sand mold in between the two sections as shown in diagram, in between the two sections, first we required to place a wax so that we will get a mold cavity for casting purpose. When we apply some wax, when we apply or pouring wax in between the two broken railway tracks, or we can also say that two heavy thick objects. So wax is poured. After pouring wax in between the two metal plates, such sand mold kept over the two broken parts or railway tracks parts. In this way, this section shows that section to be made. These also we can also say that there is two shafts. Red color portion indicates that this is the cross sectional area, and here we place a wax. Then molten metal coming through runner getting system. This molten metal comes forward, so automatically wax already placed in this section, wax melting point is very low, so that melting of wax is possible. By default, molten wax is removed through this heating gate and mold cavity is prepared in this section. And mold cavity is prepared in this section, then immediately molten metal comes in this mold cavity and fill the mold complete cavity and fill complete molten with the help of molten metal, and after complete fill of molten metal it comes through rises. In this way we can also say that we can also see the what amount of molten metal is filled. We can easily watch and check through rising. Then after some duration, it is found that casting is developed in between the two metal plates. Casting is developed in between the two metal plates. So this is the weld is developed. This is the weld is developed. Molten metal becomes solidified and then weld is developed in between the two metal plates or two broken railway tracks. This is the concept behind that, how thermit welding is performed in between the two metal plates. So from this we understand, from this chemical reaction of thermit mixture, 3.01 megajoule per kg is a tremendous amount of heat energy generated. After that, we can also increase a heat content with the help of adding sodium salt in crucible. So it is we can also see that adding sodium salt in this thermit mixture, then chemical reaction is performed and 35 kilojoule per kg is a tremendous amount of heat is generated. So such type of tremendous amount of heat in the form of exothermic reaction, it is utilized to weld large amount of thick jobs. We can also perform welding. So in this section we can perform welding. This is a welding of non-pressure type thermit welding. So non-pressure type thermit welding is where we not apply any pressure in between the two metal parts, or maybe a broken metal parts we can also join without applying pressure on two metal plates or two metal rods or broken parts. Okay. So what are these advantage of thermit welding process? It's a very simple process. Without any electricity, we can use, we can say that we can transfer any location without any electricity. This is a very much best advantage of thermit welding. equipments is required more. So, considering the cost of equipment is the limitations of this thermit welding process. So, I hope you understand very well thermit welding process, how it performs, how wax process, and then how molten metal comes and in the mold cavity and weld is developed in between the two metals. That's the reason behind that. In my opinion, I want to say that this thermit welding is better. Welding cum casting. You can also say that. Thank you. Thank you very much.